Coming up on the Together for Good podcast, this is not a Christmas story. Here we go. Welcome to the Together for Good podcast, a podcast created by Bethany Lutheran Church in Cherry Hills Village, Colorado, and hosted by me, Pastor Nate Preisinger. On Together for Good, our goal is to provide practical, engaging content that supports you without expectations. Whether you're feeling disconnected from traditional religion or simply exploring what faith means in your life, we're here to walk alongside you. No matter where you are on your journey of faith, we're glad you're here. Welcome to Together for Good. It was the spring of my sophomore year of high school, and my friends and I still didn't have our license yet. You couldn't get your license in New York State till you were 16 years old. You couldn't even get your permit till you were 16 years old. And so we were stuck riding our bikes around town. But we actually took great delight in this. And so we would go on bike rides all the time just to go explore, to see what new things that we could find in our neighborhood. And eventually, as you'll hear in this story, in the neighborhoods near us. One day, what we decided to do was rather than turn left at the end of my dead-end street, we instead decided to turn to the right. And in doing that, we were led down and discovered a new side street that we had all noticed before in our rides around town, but that we had never paid much attention to or done much exploring of. And so what we decided to do is turn down this one street, St. Stephen's Lane. Now, here's what you need to know about St. Stephen's Lane. From the outside, from the main road, it looks like just a small little street. That's what we were expecting. Only when we took that path in, we discovered this was the opening to an entirely huge, enormous development that we had no idea was a mere quarter mile from my house. Here's how that's possible. You see, my house sat right on the line between two different school districts. And so where my house was and the development that my friends lived in, all of that was connected to one set of schools. St. Stephen's Lane and the development that we discovered that day was connected to an entirely different school district. And so we had no friends that lived over there. We knew no one that lived over there because they all went to different schools. So we spent the day exploring this new development. It was super fun. On this particular bike ride, it was me, my friend Jeff, and my friend Cole. And so we're exploring, riding around, and eventually we come to this bike path at the end of a dead-end street. We think, oh, this is interesting. Let's see where this goes. And we take the bike path. It winds through the woods, not very long, and eventually it spits us out in the parking lot of Pizza Hut. Now, for 3 high school boys, a secret path to Pizza Hut is one of the very best things that you could ever discover. And so my friend Jeff and I are so excited, and we're saying, oh my gosh, we can come here all the time for the Pizza Hut lunch buffet. It's going to be so easy. No busy roads that we have to bike on. We can just wind through St. Stephen's Lane neighborhood, take the bike path. This is incredible. And at some point, my friend Jeff noticed that Cole isn't saying anything. He's quiet. He's staring down at the ground, clearly thinking about something. And Jeff hits him on the shoulder like, hey, Cole, what's going on? Don't you see the Pizza Hut? Cole looks up and he's like, did you see him? What are you talking about? Did you see him? He's like, did you see the guy in the woods back there? I'm like, Cole, there was no guy in the woods. What are you talking about? Cole is adamant. No. Let's go back through the path the way we came. And I want you to look to your left and you will see 20 feet off the path, a guy standing against the tree. So this is what we do. We ride our bikes back through that path the way we came. And sure enough, there, standing 20 feet off the path, is a guy in a hooded sweatshirt, hood up, standing perfectly still against a tree. We zip through the bike path and continue riding around in the safe streets of St. Stephen's Lane. And we're talking about what this might mean. Like, oh my gosh, that is so creepy. What is going on? Why is there a man standing off the path in the woods? And Jeff and I are just like, that's super creepy. Let's never go back there. Forget Pizza Hut. I value my life more than lunch buffet. But Cole is adamant. He said, no, 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 guys, we have to go back. Like, what are you talking about? In what world do we go back? He says, I think he's dead. We have to go back. Jeff and I do everything in our power to convince Cole that this is a terrible idea and that there's no way that he's dead and we could just leave well enough alone. But Cole is insistent. So we compromise and we say, all right, let's head back the way that we came and we'll go to the path. And the path kind of winds through the woods, as I mentioned. And so Jeff and I say, like, listen, we'll stand here on the outside and you can ride in and check on the guy. And we'll be right here. We'll be outside the path. You go ahead and do this yourself because this is a you idea, Cole. And so that's what we do. And we watch as Cole turns the corner and then we hear him stop and put down his kickstand. He's not far away, but we can't see anything because the path turned. And we hear Cole say, hey, are you okay? And at this point, Jeff and I look at each other because we can't believe that this guy is still there. It had been a good 2 hours since we had last gone through that path. And somehow, as we head back there, he's still standing against the tree. But there's no answer. And so then the next thing we hear is Cole's voice again. Hey, a little louder this time. Are you okay? And still, we don't hear any answer. And then we hear Cole pipe up a third time. Hey, are you okay? And at this point, Jeff and I are kind of looking at each other like, should we go in? Is he actually dead? And just as those thoughts were starting to cross our mind, we hear, leave me alone. And Cole says, okay, sorry. And he rides his bike back out and we get away from that bike path as fast as humanly possible. Now here's why I'm telling you this story. It's pretty unresolved. We never found out what was going on there. We have been back to that path since. We took it to Pizza Hut many times, and the guy was never there in future visits. And so it was such an unexplained story. There was nothing in the news. We even checked and tried to be diligent about reading the news in the next few weeks. Local news, is there anything about a creepy dude in the woods? No. There's so much about it that's unanswered. There's such a mystery attached to it. And yet I love this story, not just for the mystery and the intrigue of it all, but for some of the subtle pieces of what happened there. Because as we see in the story, it takes community in order to create courage. Cole wanted to go back, but wasn't going to go alone. And we weren't going to let him go alone. And in the same sense, we weren't all in on his idea either. And so we offered a halfway point of support. But that's what he needed in order to really check on this person who he thought was in need or who was really hurting. And maybe he really was. He didn't want to be bothered, but maybe there was something important about what happened there that day. We'll never exactly know. But I also love this story just because of Cole's simple, honest question. Are you okay? Sometimes that's what the most vulnerable people around us need to be asked. They just need to know that someone cares. Even if they don't want help, even if they want to just be left alone, sometimes I think it can be really valuable to just ask that simple question and to do the smallest amount of what we can. I also love this story just because of the imagination of it all. Cole's wild imagination about what this little detail means and all of the questions that it leaves unanswered. I think a lot of times in our life of faith, there are lots of stories like this and things that happen just in the course of our life that we can't explain or wrap our minds around. But somehow that mystery and that imagination and the stories we create in our head as a result of the unanswerable questions, sometimes that can be its own sense of purpose for our life. It gave Cole a lot of real purpose there. He wanted to do something to help. And he had created an entire story around what was going on and how he needed to play an essential role in it. Now, there's so much, again, that is unknown about this, but I think that's part of the charm. And it's a reminder to us that we don't always need all the answers. That's okay. That a life of faith will include doubt and it will include questions. And those are good things. Those can be their own valuable pieces of the puzzle that make this entire faith endeavor compelling in ways that it wouldn't be if we just had clean, neat answers all the time. So there you go. This has not been a Christmas story. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay in peace.